I emerge from the bathroom and tell her everything. I tell my wife about the night I peered inside of our daughter's closet. I tried to describe to her what I saw hiding in the abyss of children's clothing and little shoes, but my words do little justice to the horror I had witnessed. My explanations come strained through spittle and tears. The words tumble out of my mouth like a terrified, drunken fever dream, but I persevere. I tell my wife about my latest confrontation with the incomprehensible being. I tell her about how I tried to defeat the beast with pure force, and how I thought I could face the monstrosity in primal combat, and how I was rendered useless by the mere sight of the abomination. I tell her that I'm terrified of the monster that hides inside our daughter's bedroom.
Peter,
she says, doing nothing to hide her doubt of my sanity.
Have you considered that this squiggle, have you considered it might not be real?
Yes, I say, trying to ignore the pain her doubt stirs in my heart. I have spent countless nights trying to convince myself that everything I had seen was a mere byproduct of my imagination. But I am certain, Paula, I am certain what I saw was real. Please, I know it sounds horribly insane, but I need you to believe me. She doesn't answer. Instead, she just hugs me. I hold on to her like I am an astronaut clutching onto the last length of cord that stops me from floating off into the abyss. She simply places her palms on my back.
We should go to sleep, Peter,
she says after she gently pushes me away.
It's been a long day. We should get some rest.
Wordlessly, the lamplight is turned off and the room descends back into darkness. We lie next to each other on the bed, but we are worlds apart. Do you believe me? I ask. I get no answer. The room is airless. Beads of sweat start to travel down my back. Outside there is a calm summer breeze, but opening the window is out of the question. I know the thing is out there. I know the thing is crawling through the grass. It's hundreds of eyes searching for a way back into my home. Do you believe me? I ask again. I know that the woman next to me is awake. I know that she can hear me, yet she doesn't respond. Each breath I take is drenched in the stifling heat of the room. Each syllable of my plea drains at the little strength that I have left. Do you believe me? A gentle summer wind caresses my face. The sky is pitch dark, but the torch in my hand lights the way. I am back at a familiar cabin by the lake. The world is nothing but foggy silhouettes, but my feet know the way. I walk towards my father's lake house. The path crunches beneath my feet in an unfamiliar way. I am not stepping on fallen leaves. I am stepping on something else. I start considering lowering the torch to examine the path, but before the thought manifests into action, I see another light. By the pier, an old oil lamp flickers. In its dim glow, a man stands in front of a blank canvas.
Welcome back,
the unshaven drunk says as he mixes the paints in his palette.
Brave of you to return. You know that little boys don't belong near the lake.
I want to reply, but my voice is a choked whisper. My feet start to tingle. Something inside me wants to turn back and run into the darkness of the forest.
Or perhaps you have forgotten,
the painter says, laying his brush onto the canvas.
You forget a lot of things, don't you, Peter? You forget to clean your room. You forget to say please and thank you. You forget you shouldn't disturb your father when he is working. Maybe the warnings about the lake are just another thing you conveniently forgot.
His brush slides across the blank canvas. No! I yell. Within a single stroke, I know what the cruel man is about to paint. Please, no one should ever draw that. He laughs. His brush does not stop tracing the horrid shape.
Little boy, you don't belong here. You don't belong at the lake.
I feel something crawling on my legs, but the canvas is considerably more distressing. I push past the grizzled drunk and rip the painting off the easel. The oil lamp cracks beneath the force of the painting. Its open flame feeds fire. He laughs again. In the glow of the burning painting, his disdain for me is unmistakable.
Are you not scared, little boy? Are you not scared of the octopus that lives inside of the lake?
Something is crawling up my back, but I pay no mind. I lose all sense of my body. My horror consumes me completely. The fire does not consume the painting. It merely finishes it. Off the canvas, the creature stares at me with its many eyes. It reaches out to me with its shaking limbs.
You should be scared, little boy. You should be terrified of the octopus that lives in this lake. You should be scared because you know what it eats.
The sight of that horrible being is so distressing. My body acts without input. I kick the painting into the water. With a splash and a hiss, it disappears into the darkness. I'm not scared, I yell. I'm brave. He leans close to me. I smell the gin on his breath.
You should be,
he says.
You should be scared because in this lake there lives an octopus, and that octopus eats little vermin like you.
A sudden burst of light crashes through the dark night. The pond flares up an impossibly hot glow. Around my feet I see insects and worms. The pier is covered in them. The pier is covered in them. Yet the writhing life around me quickly becomes irrelevant to what's happening on the surface of the water.
The octopus has seen you now. You belong to it.
Those writhing tentacles reach out from beneath the water. My body refuses to move. I simply watch as those eyeball-covered strands of flesh wrap around my limbs.
Goodbye, Daddy. We're leaving now.
I wake up with my face covered in sweat and tears. My daughter stands at the foot of the bed, holding a plastic unicorn. The sight of her sweet face coated in the morning sunshine soothes my soul for a split second. But then her words catch up with me. What? I ask.
Mommy's taking me to Annie Claire's. She said we're gonna have a sleepover, and Annie Claire has real horses.
She says, running with the plastic horse over my leg.
Mommy said I should let you rest, and that we should go, but I tricked her. I told her I needed to pee, but I came to say goodbye to you instead.
Don't lie to your mother, I say out of instinct. Where is she?
In the car?
I sit up in bed. My pajamas are stuck to my back. A cough rattles through my chest. I feel worse than I ever have in my life.
Are you okay, Daddy?
She says, reaching out for my forehead.
You have a fever!
Her palm feels cool against my skin. I need to speak to Mommy, I say, getting out of bed. Every muscle in my body aches. I'll be fine. I just need to speak to Mommy. She rolls up the windows as soon as she sees me. Before I'm able to speak, I catch a glimpse of myself in a side view mirror. The sight impedes my speech further. A man with sunken eyes and the complexion of a trained corpse stares back at me. I am no longer the person my wife married. Please, Paula. Please. I say when the words come back to me. I have not gone mad. You need to believe me. I need you to believe me. She keeps her hands gripped around the steering wheel. All of her attention is spent on the empty driveway. A cough stretches its way through my throat. My whole body shudders beneath its weight. When I finally gain my voice, it is nothing but a whisper. Please, Paula. I say, please. Please don't leave. She looks at me. From behind the glass, her eyes search mine for a hint of familiarity. They find it.
Peter, I don't feel safe in the house.
She says, her eyes turning wet.
You drink constantly. I keep on waking up to find you muttering to yourself. You smashed up our kid's bed with a goddamn bat last night. And those insane rambles. I'm sorry, Peter. Annie can't sleep on the floor. I can't spend every second of the day worrying you might hurt her.
I would never hurt her. I say, you know that, Paula. You might think I have lost my mind with this squiggle affair. But you know I would never harm our child. She knows I'm right.
She can't sleep on the floor, Peter.
Before I have the chance to reply, the backseat door of the car opens. My child climbs her way into her booster seat.
When are we coming back, Mommy?
She asks as she clips her little seatbelt. My wife searches my eyes once more. Her fear softens into sorrow.
We'll be back when Daddy fixes your bed.
Have fun with the horses, Annie, I say, choking back another cough.
I will.
She replies.
Stay brave, Daddy.
And so they drive off. I am left alone in the house. I am left alone with my fear. The box of tools is heavy in my aching hands, but I carry it regardless. When I reach the collapsed bed, however, I do not repair it. I simply collapse into the unicorn covers. The bed is far too broken, and the fever festering in my veins is far too draining. I close my eyes to rest. At first it feels like sleep is within reach. The pain in my muscles starts to muffle between the coming wave of unconsciousness. My fevered mind calms. At first it feels like sleep is within reach, but then I remember it! That horrid shape! That confounding nightmare! That portrait that should never have been painted! I remember the squiggle. My heart starts to race. A new crop of sweat pours over my back. I sit up. My daughter's closet looms before me, a cruel reminder of the horrors I had witnessed. If only I had shut the door the first night I saw the monstrosity. If I had been brave enough, the creature would no longer be an issue. I would have destroyed the closet, buried it, set it on fire, dropped it in a lake. I don't know what plan of violence I would have chosen, but I know that the squiggle would have been destroyed. If I had been braver, my family would still be with me. Instead, when I saw the creature, I fainted. The bloody horse sticker on the closet taunts me. With another phlegm-coated cough, I answer its call. I don't try to clean the blood away this time. I try to rip off the whole sticker. The task is harder than it seems. My short nails refuse to hook behind the glue. The paper holds firm to the wood. I know that removing the sticker will do nothing. I know that it will be the most impotent of symbolic victories. But I do not give up. My sickly, haunted mind is in dire need of even the smallest of symbolic victories. I tear at the wood, trying to get a grip on the horse's head, but all I manage is to remove a small chunk of its crimson mane. I know that the bed behind me needs to be fixed. I know that I need psychiatric help, yet I also know that none of that can happen while the bloodied horse sticker still exists. I scratch and I scratch, slowly excavating the edges of the sticker, but then, just as I start to celebrate progress, my work is answered. From inside the closet, something scratches back. I claw at the sticker harder, trying to convince myself that I didn't hear anything. But the presence from the closet is unavoidable. A dozen limbs gently tap at the wood. inquiring to be let into the outside world. I lean against the closet door. I scratch harder. A madman in my heart screams about how the squiggle is just a byproduct of my imagination, that there is nothing on the other side of the closet, yet those screams do not last long. Those screams wither in panic when the strands of flesh emerge. They sprout like plants of fiery skin from the corners of the closet. They crawl towards my fingers, watching me with their wet stares. I close my eyes. I continue scratching. I continue scratching until it's no longer possible. It wraps around my fingers and tightens. The grip is strong enough to cut off any attempted movement. The strand clears the layer of glue from beneath my fingernails and crawls beneath it. A stinging sensation travels through my finger and soon through my wrist. The door of the closet opens. I can't bear to open my eyes. I try to tug back my body from the grasp of the beast, but the escape attempt is half-hearted. I know there is no negotiation with the tentacles. As my second hand gets enveloped in the beast's moist grasp, I give up. It feels like chunky clumps of fat are traveling up my veins. An army of cold, wet fingers crawls up my chest. Another cough strains my throat. My mouth opens. The tentacles use the opportunity. They slither through my mouth like sentient gummy worms. They crawl through my ears, leaving behind faint ringing noise. They squirm under my eyelids and deep into my skull. The tentacles claim me fully, but I still hold on to the shred of hope that they are merely the result of psychotic breakdown. I hear a voice, childlike but forged in utter primal energy. Echoing through my soul, I hear a voice.
You're real.
It says,
You know scare. You know food. You too many bones.
The horror that is nesting beneath my skin tightens around my bones, as if it was trying to prove a point.
You know food. Too many bones. Take me to Mama.
I open my eyes. With the exemption of children's clothing, the closet in front of me is empty. Yet in a single tug of the spine, I find myself turning. I find myself taking fumbled steps. I find myself shambling out of my daughter's bedroom. The stairs prove a problem. I fall down. Twice. Yet the numb pain that spreads through my body is of no interest to my puppet master. After every failure, my body hoists me back up to my feet and continues to stagger forward. The longer the thing forces me to move, the more natural my walk becomes. By the time I leave my front door, my steps seem almost natural. There's people on the street. I try to get them to help me, to save me, to see that there's something wrong, but the squiggle allows for no pleas.
Take me to Mama.
It whispers as it forces my eyes to my feet.
You take me now.
The cement of the street gives way to a forest path. The only people that pass by me are the occasional jogger. I try to call to them, but my mouth refuses to open. I try to cough. to catch their attention. But the thing beneath my skin simply uses the rattles in my chest to get a better grip. I try to get help, but soon enough, I give up. The world beyond my skin feels like it's muffled beneath a thick coating of broken glass. I have no control over my body. I am simply a broken mind being carried by incomprehensible forces.
Mama.
The thing whispers as it forces me to march to lands unknown.
Mama, close.
There is nothing to look at but my feet. The questions that fill my sickly mind are too terrifying to address. My soul wrestles reality with no victory in sight. Each step becomes indistinguishable from the last. We walk for an eternity. Crunch, the sun has set, but its dying rays still illuminate the forest path. Crunch, past the fever, past exhaustion, past the terror. I try to get my eyes to focus. Crunch, I'm stepping on cockroaches. Past the mud of the trail, I can see their sleek bodies trying to race ahead of me. With each step I take, they multiply. We are moving towards the same place. We are destined for the same fate.
Mama.
My feet stop at the edge of the path. The roaches before me continue crawling. They crawl to Mama. A torrent of coughs erupt in my chest. 1,000 pulsating veins. A fathomless flurry of cruel colors. A never-ending throat filled with dull teeth made of flesh. I cannot handle the sight of that terrible maw, but my head refuses to turn.
Mama.
Cries the voice in my head. The horrid hole growls. The trees around us shake at the grisly terror of its grunt.
Mama.
The thing inside me pleads.
No food. Too much bone.
My skeleton is gripped once more, tighter this time. I try to back away from the blasphemous sight before me. With every sinew of my being, I try to preserve my life. Yet my body refuses to budge.
Mama, no.
The thing inside me screams.
Too much bone. No food. You hurt. Mama, no.
My lips part, but no words leave my throat. Instead, a writhing mess of cold life travels out my jaw.
Mama, too much bone. Too much bone. No eats, Mama, no.
The mass of flesh stemming from the ground doesn't heed the warnings. It slithers towards me, its eyes watching me in starved anticipation, with my limbs frozen in a foreign grasp of a malicious slab of growing hungry flesh extending towards me as I almost make peace with my fate. Almost. When we first moved into the house, Anna's speech barely surpassed a handful of syllables, but she was a nimble child. As soon as all the furniture was taken out of the boxes, my daughter made use of the containers for her make-believe games. To her, the cardboard wasn't the discarded byproduct of a journey across the country. To her, the cardboard boxes were stables and houses and castles. She had taken to jumping from one box to another when I took my eyes off her. I simply left the living room to go change a light bulb. There was a single moment of unsupervised play, but it made all the difference.
Dada!
She said, standing bloodied in the doorway of the bathroom.
Dada! Help!
The radiator had split her forehead open. Her baby blue horse shirt was reddened by the steady stream of blood. She was in shock. She needed help. The whole affair was ended by a handful of stitches at the doctor's office, but the image, the moment of discovery, watching the blood slide past her scared eyes, that image was seared deep into my mind. I imagined what would have happened to Annie if I was not there to take care of her. I imagined what her life would be like once the inconceivable flesh monster in the wood consumes me. I imagined my daughter alone and helpless. The thought is more repulsive than the 1,000-eyed flesh before me. A surge of rage consumes my muscles. Ownership of my body is pried back into my own hands. I find my fist gripped around the monstrosity peeking out of my throat. Mama, it screeches as I rip it out. Mama, help! My innards burn with agony as the creature's limbs desperately latch onto me, but the pain is imperceptible past my will to live. The mass of flesh before me roars in fury, but its eyes shift away from me. It watches its young. Even though the eyes are countless, and its glowing flesh is foreign beyond words, I recognize a familiar look. I recognize a familiar look in the mess of eyeballs. It is scared. The eldritch abomination is scared for its young. The mass of flesh in my hands is far too tangled for a solid grasp, but I still manage to throw it at its maker. Once the squiggle leaves my palms, I turn and run. I do not know where I am. I do not know where I'm going. My whole body feels like it's been irreversibly intruded upon, yet my feet carry me regardless. Like a wild animal leaving the scene of a car collision, I run as far and as fast as my injured legs will take me. I wake up on my daughter's bed. For a moment I just lie there, staring at the sticker-covered ceiling, trying to make sense of reality. With bated breath, I await another attack of panic and madness. I await more razor-sharp memories of the horrid beast and its progeny, yet none come. My body feels like a used rubber glove, yet the rattling in my lungs is gone. The events of the night prior are still in my mind, but the images of the horrid creature do not cut with the same sharpness as they once did. The fever is gone. The fear is gone. I consider whether the squiggle was ever real to begin with. The bed is still broken, my family is still gone, the bloodied sticker still looms above my daughter's closet, yet my mind relents. I consider whether the squiggle might have been a byproduct of my imagination, and I convince myself it was. It was. Deep inside I know that is a lie. At the core of my being, I know that those bright, gazing limbs are something that exists within our realm. Yet I do not allow myself to ponder the squiggle. There are more important things at hand. The bed has to be repaired. My marriage has to be fixed. The bloodied horse sticker has to be removed. With a promise to never think of the squiggle again, I get off my daughter's bed and boot up my computer. I search online for advice on removing stickers from wood. The faceless masters of the internet recommend a piece of cloth soaked in white vinegar. It works like a charm. I open the window to air out the faint smell of a nosebleed. With the sticker removed, I can move on to the next task. The damage to the bed frame is bad, but not impossible to repair.